Hello everyone, and welcome to another Starcraft 2 video. This one's going to take place on Shattered Temple. It's actually just a warm-up match I did, a custom game. In fact, my computer's kind of slow, so it always lags the first game I play, like when I first enter the game, so I like to start with just a public custom game before I start laddering. So anyways, I'm the Green Terran. Ketroc's flying in the 12 o'clock position. My opponent is Zakdorn, the orange Zerg, who I believe is in Platinum League, top of Platinum, I think. Now, this is going to be a special video in that it's not going to be about the strategies I'm using or just recapping what happened in the match. It's actually going to be some detective work, in that we're going to try to figure out if Zakdorn is map hacking, because I don't know myself whether he is or not. Now, I've done a thumbs up fact on this before, and I told you how easy it is to catch a map hacker. So all you gotta do is switch it to their view, switch it to their camera, speed it up a little bit, and you can see exactly where their camera moves. This is where Zakdorn is looking the entire time. And what will inevitably happen is all of a sudden the camera will, like, boom, go up here. And that's the tip-off. It's like, why would you stare in the fog of war, let alone look at your base when he hasn't even scouted where you are? Maybe if you move out your army, like all of a sudden the camera will move here, and he'll be staring at your army in the fog of war, watching it move. And that's just something a map hacker can't resist. If you see a bunch of squares going up on the mini-map in your opponent's base, it's like, obviously you want to go look at it, like see if they're barracks or factories, or see what units are being used. And when a push comes, you want to see, okay, what's the composition, where's it headed? Like, it's hard for me to believe any player can resist doing that. Zakdorn will not do that the entire match. However, there is some extremely suspicious movements done, and they'll show you later. And I'm not unreasonable. Like, I have people accuse me of map hacking all the time. It's like, oh, like someone does like a 6 racks all in versus me, and when he arrives, I'm like walled off with like 2 bunkers. He's like, well, you never scouted my barracks and you never scouted my marines, so you're obviously a map hacker, and I'm going to report you to Blizzard. And like, I get that you can make assumptions and deductions without having to actually see the army. Like, if I scout that he has no gas and no expansion, like, okay, he's a gasless build and he's not expanding, what else is he doing but making marines and pumping out stuff? You can even make like assumptions based on like very minor things, like someone gets an immortal like early, I assume that he might be teching straight to Templar. I mean, that's a big assumption, but it's something I notice and something you get a feel for over time. But with that said, this isn't like baseless accusations. This is, well, you'll see. So first of all, Zakdorn is going to enter my base, and he comes in, and he's getting his scout on, and I kind of trap him in the base, and he says ballsy, because obviously I'm going for a fast expand. However, go to his view, he never actually saw the command center or the SCV coming out to make it. So again, that can mean many things, like ballsy not to have a wall off, ballsy to make my first barrack so late if he doesn't understand timings, or maybe he does understand timings and assumes I threw up a fast expansion and he said ballsy, or he assumed I'm doing a proxy racks thing so he said ballsy. So it could be okay, but just interesting they never actually saw the command center and made that comment. If you're map hacking, he may have assumed that his drone probably got sight of that, but it actually didn't. So we'll speed along. We'll go up to maybe the 8-minute mark, 10-minute mark. And something I want to point out here. He does have an overlord here at this base, and it's kind of hiding in the high ground, and it has sights on this mineral patch area. So it looks like this is a scout. And he sent out a drone. That looks like a scout. So those look like things that map hackers normally wouldn't do. But this is 10 minutes in the game, and he has no map control whatsoever. He has no Ling or Overlord at my high yield, or at this base, or at this base. Like, not checking out where I take my natural third. He has no Ling at the Zelnaga Tower, no Ling outside my base. I mean, these are things that Zerg would typically do, because like that's how Zerg plays. They just drone and drone and drone, and they keep a Ling outside your base. And then when your army starts pushing out, it's like, okay, now I got 1 minute to since I had no army and I was just droning. Now I got 1 minute to turn all the lings I do have into banelings and turn all the larvae I have into army. Like that's the kind of the advantage of playing Zerg, is you can like play with no army, and then when you see the push coming in advance, you can turn all your larvae and build all your army late. But yeah, no map site whatsoever. No overlord hanging out over here to sacrifice in my base. And you can see his scouting so far has been basically null. We're 11 minutes into the game, and all he knows is that I made a barracks and engineering bay. That's it, and 1 gas. So he's had no interest in scouting me. So I'll kind of fast forward to 14 minutes here. And you're going to see some mutalisks outside my base as I'm floating out command center, and the mutalisks are going to come and attack this command center. This is perfectly normal. Mutalisk harass often comes when I'm floating out my third, and if I'm unlucky, command center gets caught. Let's take a look at that again. From his view, watch how fast he turns. See that? As soon as it was visible, he turned. One more time, we'll even slow it down a bit. We're going to stop it as soon as we see this command center. There. I just saw it. They've already beelined towards it. That is either the fastest reaction time ever, like it may have even preempted it, it's hard to tell, or there's something tricky going on. And if you want to make it even more suspicious, we'll go to Xandor's camera. Now, if you're moving mutalisks into someone's base to harass, why did it jump back to 13 minutes? See when it does that. So there's a mutalisk. Now, if I'm going to harass into the Terran base, normally I would keep my camera either on the mutalisks or ahead of the mutalisks, like where they're going to arrive. But watch his camera angle. He's moving this way. He actually moves it down. It's like he suspects something to be right here. And then there's that instant turn, and he's all over the command center. So, suspicious, we'll say. So he forces that back, and I have to kind of land it and repair it up. And he heads back to his base. And then he waits some time. And then he sends his mutalisks back to the same place again. And you can see it's kind of perfectly timed, just as I landed and tried to get up the missile turrets, but he got here in time to kill me. Now this is perfectly normal. Like obviously he knows I have a command center right here, and there's a good chance I might just try to retake the same spot again. It's kind of dumb, maybe I should go somewhere else, but it could happen. And I often do the same thing when I'm like Banshee harassing Terran. They'll try to take an expansion, I'll go bring my Banshees, kill all the SCVs trying to make missile turrets, and then force the expansion to float away. And what I'll do is I'll move my Banshees out, wait maybe, I don't know, 45 seconds a minute, and then go back in again, because I assume that's how long it would take them to float it back, try to set missile turrets once again. So sometimes you can time those things well. So this, I don't think is suspicious. I mean, it's just kind of lucky. Then watch, he shuts everything down, and he leaves. We got, how many mutalisks here? 24 plus 7. We got 31 mutalisks. That's like two more volleys on this command center and it's down. But he lets it live. He leaves. Very suspicious. Let's we'll back it up again. We'll kind of switch to his view. So mutalisks are coming in. He goes to micro it. He sees I'm floating away, and he doesn't finish the command center. Instead, he starts flying back to where? To the far side of his main. Let's talk about that for a second. Now, when you have your army out of position up here, there's a good chance you might get attacked elsewhere. Like if you're sending your army to the right side of the map, there's a good chance you might get counterattacked on the left side. But where's my most likely place to attack? I would say it would be right up the gut. He's out of position, I attack up the gut. The chances of me seeing him over here and getting a drop ready, or like some sort of mass air ready to come in from this side, seems unlikely to me. So the fact that he's moving to that side And the fact that he did it in such what's the word I'm looking for? Like it was such an emergency that he couldn't throw the last 2 volleys on the command center. Seems very suspicious. And of course, you can see my Ravens are coming down this side of the map and heading in this direction. That's where I'm headed to. This is where he's headed to. So this is the thing that was most suspicious to me, and maybe go back and look at this replay. As it turns out, I got my own version of Maphack, which is the Xel'Naga Tower, so I actually see it incoming. And then I throw down a scan, so I can greet him at the door. Welcome to my humble abode. Would you like a drink of seeker missiles? And after that, that's more or less GG. I go on to win this game with this push, actually. Yeah. This guy did none of the strictly obvious and things I would suspect from a Maphacker. He never looked at these Ravens. When they're flying out, he never panned his screen over to look at them in the fog of war. When I had my base, he never looked at my base. Never sent his camera up here to check out what I was doing in the fog of war. But at the same time, it's weird his lack of scouting. He never had map control. He never cared what I had. Never looked in here. And then we had this suspicious action with the Mutalisks up here, where they kind of looked like they were anticipating this command center being flown out. And then the obviously much more suspicious action where he flies to this side of the base immediately in such a hurry that he can't even finish picking off this command center, which was an easy kill, like another 3-4 seconds and it was down. But he resisted, never looked at the minimap, or never panned his camera into the fog of war. So, yeah, I can't say for sure whether it was a Maphack or not. If I was a betting man, I'd probably not bet on it, but you know, if I had to bet, I'd probably say he is. I don't know. Either there's some sort of new sort of Maphack where you don't have to pan the camera, or it hides the fact that you're panning the camera, or this is like the most elusive Maphacker I've ever seen, where he actually resists the urge to look at stuff on the map. Anyways, it was an important game. It was just a practice match anyways, but yeah, I found it really suspicious and really fun to kind of do my little detective work here. So, kind of a different video. I hope you guys enjoy that. Thank you, everyone, and goodbye.
If the guns are churning, your ass is burning. If the guns are blazing, your ass is a-raising. I don't know, what do you want from me?
Alright, for today's thumbs up fact of the day, I'm going to go over this epic idea I had, which was epic in theory. Results, you can judge for yourself. But, yeah, first of all, what the hell is this thing here? I've never seen that before in my life. That's right, Ketroc actually made a sensor tower. You guys tell me they're useful. I know they're useful. Do I ever make them? No. But this is a really, really good spot for it, because often on Xel'Naga you're going to have your high yield here, he's going to be taking his high yield here, and your armies are going to be on either side of this chasm. And what this sensor tower does, first of all, it gives you sight of both Xel'Naga towers. So if he ever sends over a probe or zealot to get vision, you can just go snipe it, take that vision away. Second, it's like very safe, since it's behind this huge chasm. He actually has to come up to your fortress area to snipe it. And 3, it gives you really good vision of his movement on the far side of the chasm. If he moves to the left, you can get set up on the left. If he moves to the right, you can get set up on the right. Or maybe if he moves to the right, you can take a handful of marauders and go try to snipe this nexus. So yeah, it's protected and gives amazing vision. I would definitely suggest getting a Xel'Naga tower here. But I digress back to my theory. Okay, this is going to take 2 things. It's going to take a nuke and a medevac, but not the typical way you use them. This is not a medevac to drop a ghost. This medevac plays the role of, what's the right analogy here? You know, like monsters in movies are like extreme versions of like jocks at school, where like the bigger and more deadly they are, the stupider they are. So in movies, when you distract one of these monsters, you don't do it in like some clever mind-bending way. You just kind of run out in the open, you jump around, you swing your arms in the air and say, Hey, look at me, I'm a distraction. That's the role of this medevac here. So notice I'm moving in front of the Zelnaga tower on purpose, and then I'm just going to, it's an empty medevac, obviously it's just a distraction. I'm just going to run around his base, and then here, when he hears the nuclear launch detected, he's going to be all concentrated on this medevac. Like, what did he do? Where did he drop off the ghost? He's going to be concentrated in this area. Part 2 of this, like, sneaky nuke plan is I'm going to be nuking on the high ground here. So it's in the fog of war, so it can still kill all these probes, but it's going to be in the fog of war. So, pretty epic, huh? In theory. Results, not quite as much. So we're going to head back, and we're just going to switch it to Brotas's view. And when the nuke finishes, right there. So first of all, you can see he doesn't have sight on the minimap of that Zelnaga tower. So running in view of that Zelnaga tower did not help at all. He's not going to spot the medevac. I want him to spot the medevac. He's not spotting it. So here's my medevac. You can see on the minimap moving into his base. He's completely oblivious to it. I'm totally jumping around, swinging my arms in the air. Look at me! He just doesn't pay attention. So nuclear launch detected. And did you catch that? It was quick. He panned over to the third base. Oh, I think I missed it again. Even I missed it. This maybe the production tab was blocking it. One more time. One more time. Nuclear launch detected. He pans over. There, do you see it? You can still see the dot even though it's in the fog of war. Which I guess makes sense, because if you have units up here, he can't see them. But if your units start attacking the probes, then he'll be able to see these units. You still can't attack them because he doesn't have high ground sight, but you can see them in the fog. And I guess since this is sort of an attack, you can see that in the fog of war as well. So yeah, the distraction did not work, and this nuclear dot is not hidden. So the idea, my great theory idea, doesn't actually work out in theory. However, in practice, he still didn't spot it. That's 8 dead probes. I have a little engagement here. I have more upgrades than you, so I don't care if you have Archons. Meanwhile, back here, this ghost is racking up the kills. 15, 16, 17, 18. Oh, we just got 3-3. Sweet. 19, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. Oh, almost got away. He just warped into the stalkers in time. So, yeah, I thought that was kind of interesting. I came up with this great idea, and when I go and check the replay, it's like, oh, even though I thought it worked, it was just a complete fail. In theory, anyways. But if you have someone who doesn't spot nuclear dots, I guess it can still work anyways. No thanks to my distraction. Medevacs need bigger arms to wave, I swear to God.